welcome to the Deep Down Bear podcast. My name's Sean. Joining me today is the one and only Dante Boff and Mr. Boff, my man. How are we?
I got a bloody saddle sore from being back in this old thing. But it's good to bloody be here with you.
Yeah, no, good to bloody be here with you, mate. Back in the saddle. I've got a saddle store. I want to show you my Crocs. I got some gibbets.
The little plug things.
Yeah, the little plug things.
So what do you got? You got a couple of anime characters. You got tell me that you're going out with the content without telling me that you're going out with the content. You got a whole bunch of Misk anime and Minecraft characters.
But they don't. No, none of the content is like Minecraft.
This is the guy from One Piece.
That's it.
Luffy.
Yeah.
That's Minecraft. That's Minecraft.
Yeah.
What's this, like some alien?
That's
a Pokemon. Dog mom.
Messi,
and Messi
goat.
with the goat. Yeah. Well, good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. I thought the Messi was going to do numbers, but yeah, that's what I was waiting for. But that's all right.
Well,
some things are flops.
Yeah.
But these are Crocs.
Well played.
Opening night, the footy today.
No, it's round one.
Round one.
Yeah, opening night was opening round was last week.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
I was at a dinner party last night, and multiple people wanted to have a conversation about
what went wrong.
Oh, bloody footy on Friday night, Carlton Brisbane, huh? And I just there's nothing, as a lifelong Brisbane fan, there's nothing for me to say about that other than that Carlton Richmond is on right now, and I really hope that Richmond's winning.
Yeah, they're probably not. Hey.
No, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
They're not looking. Now, tell me, did you or did you not have a beautiful article about the Orlando Magic go up on the deep2.com today?
Dante, I bloody did, actually.
I knew you had a look about you. When you walked in, I thought, I know this guy has done something today, and I thought that might have been it.
Yep. And you edited it.
Well, that's how I know it was a brilliant article. That's gone up today on the Orlando Magic now, and kind of looking into the future about where they might go as one of the league's most interesting swing teams. Up on the site at the moment, the deep2.com. I can't believe it's that simple. We've got an article from Marco about the New Orleans Pelicans' late game struggles and how they can diagnose and solve their problems. And you can also sign up to the newsletter, which is you can find the link to that on our website and on our socials. And every fortnight, either Marco or Sean will deliver a rundown of all of our content straight to your inbox.
Excellent. The Orlando Magic article, were you equally as shocked at how good D'Angelo Russell is?
No, I'm not, because he's always been good. You know what he's good at.
Yeah, but
you know what he's good at. You know what he's bad at. He's one of those guys.
No, but what's he bad at now?
Defense.
Okay, defense.
Yeah. Defense, playmaking, and interior scoring. I would say.
Yeah.
Shooting and perimeter scoring and ball handling. Like he's very good at all of those things.
Yeah, I was so shocked.
Yeah.
So not to bury the lead a bit, but I had him in there as a laugh.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a peep show. It was like, Jeremy, what about the... No, that's not peep show. And you said a peep show bit before where you were just like, I'll put the beers in the freezer, they'll cool down quicker. And it's like, Jeremy, don't put the thermostat up higher. It's not going to get there faster. It's going at the same speed. It's going to get higher. Lucas Treatise of the Deep 2 NBA Podcast Network went to Pitch Music and Arts, and he messaged our group chat and said that he saw some funny jerseys, including a Nick Young, a Milwaukee Bucks Ersan Ilyasova, and Kai Jones at Pitch. I don't think you can beat Milwaukee Bucks Ersan Ilyasova jersey.
I think Kai Jones is infinitely more abstract than the Milwaukee Bucks Ersan Ilyasova.
They're both so good. Nick Young is like, good on you. Like, yeah, right. But Ilyasova and Kai Jones, they're like, can you beat either of those jerseys?
They're up there for like the most esoteric NBA jersey you could possibly have.
Pitch.
When I was younger,
yeah,
my brother, also younger, he was a big Utah Jazz fan circa 2010. So his very first basketball jersey was an Al Jefferson Utah Jazz jersey, Big Al number 25. But his favourite player, and you couldn't buy this player's jersey on the NBA store, didn't even have it. His favourite player was Ronnie Price for some reason. And he wanted to get a Ronnie Price jersey, which if he had managed to get his hands on it, that would have been a contender for can we get this Utah Jazz team's third point guard?
Yeah, well, I mean, what would you bring? Like, if you're going to a festival tomorrow, it's going to be 40 degrees. You want to wear a basketball jersey. You have to wear a basketball because
see, well, you save yourself because I would have said
yeah.
I wouldn't wear a basketball jersey.
Lucas wore the Enos Freedom last year, and I reckon there's basketball group chats around Australia who saw Lucas and went, "Get a load of this guy. He's got an Enos Freedom jersey, right?"
Yeah.
But if you could go today and you're trying to beat Kai Jones and Ilyasova, what are you getting? Can I just butt in?
Yeah, please.
Might be Royce O'Neal.
That's
any Royce O'Neal.
That's fine. I don't. That doesn't really move the needle for me. Mm. It's got to be. Doesn't it have to be like who's the point guard that the Thunder just salary dumped? The Euro point guard.
Oh, Vasily Micic.
He's got like a Vasily Micic
today, 25-11, and he had 5 steals 2 days ago.
5 by 5 alone.
Yeah.
He just missed it. He only needed 5 blocks.
It's like Facundo Campazzo.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like nondescript Euro that actually managed to stick around for like 3 to 4 years.
That shouldn't. Yeah.
Pablo Prigioni type.
Yeah, but it can't be a nick. As soon as it's a nick,
Well, Enos Freedom was a nick, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it was a Boston jersey.
Right.
But I feel like with the Knicks, because there's so many Knicks fans and Lakers fans, as soon as you get like Shannon Brown, it's like, yeah, we've all actually seen the dunk. We all know who Shannon Brown is because there's so many Lakers fans.
Yeah.
Bucks Ilyasova.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking first stint, second stint?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. But it's also got to be someone who kind of never had a moment, and Ilyasova's had like multiple moments.
He's just good, yeah.
Yeah, he's been either like a high level role player on a great team, or in the Philly season, that first Philly year when they made the playoffs, and it was him and Bellinelli, and he was like genuinely fucking awesome. It's got to be someone who's like been ubiquitous enough without ever scoring more than like 16 points in a game.
Who was Adrian Payne?
Yeah. I think he's dead.
Yeah.
Is he?
I think something like that happened.
Something like death.
I said
the dead NBA player All-Stars go. Adrian Payne and Fab Melo in the front court.
Is Fab Melo no longer with us?
Yeah, Fab Melo died many years ago. Rest in peace. Yeah, Adrian Payne died aged 31 in May 2022.
He was good at 2K. Well, on 2K.
Yeah.
I don't know how good he was on the sticks.
Well, pour one out for Adrian Payne. That's very unfortunate.
I finished my beer. Maybe like Maurice Bates. I've talked about the Maurice Bates because when I had the guests on, I always like to ask guests what.
Fab Melo died in 2017.
Wow. Fuck, he was like drafted in 13.
Yeah.
Him and Jared Sullinger.
12.
Close.
Yeah.
Drafted 13th.
Yeah. What did he die from? Heart, I'm guessing. Very difficult to be that tall, yeah.
And do a lot
He
of
went to sleep and
workouts.
was discovered dead the following morning by his mother.
Oh, yeah.
Heart attack. There you go. He played 6 games for the Boston Celtics and averaged 1.2 points and 0.5 rebounds while shooting 25% from the free throw line.
What else was that, Sally? Yeah, anyway, kudos to those people wearing the jerseys at pitch. But I guess the answer is don't bring a pitch. Don't bring a jersey. Just wear some thuggy apparel.
Well, obviously you're singling me out here, but just because I'm not a jersey wearer...
Well, neither am I.
Well, you're a jersey...
I'm a t-shirt haver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to buy that Maurice Bates jersey.
No, but you just don't.
That's true.
Like, you're not missing out on anything by...
I've got a Kaminia jersey.
Yeah.
I don't wear it.
Yeah, well, that's... I mean, hold on to that. He might become a Hall of Famer. And then
it's spelt wrong on the
back.
back.
That's funny.
Hold on to that. He still might become a Hall of Famer.
That is funny.
Yeah, I think I wore it to... Yeah, watching Golden State beat the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Wearing a Kaminia jersey.
Did they beat the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, it was on the NBA Finals. Otto Porter Jr. started game 3 and on. Let's just get to that.
Yeah, I was going to say we can't say that and then not address it.
Otto Porter Jr. has announced his retirement from the NBA, coming from Shams Charania of The Athletic. He said he was trying to get back to game shape. He at the time played for the Utah Jazz after landing there in some trade, and he was waiting on a buyout, and then he missed the cutoff deadline for playoff ineligibility. And then a few people were like, "Oh, that's weird because he's a good player when he's healthy. Now he can't play in the playoffs for a team, so who the hell's signing him?" and a week passed, and then he came out and said, I literally just can't get healthy. I cannot get to game shape. My body's not doing what I want, and I am retiring from the NBA. So, yeah, pour one out for Otto Porter Jr. I wrote about his restricted free agency as my first ever basketball article that I wrote for a uni assignment, so that's pretty fun. It was right after Kelly Olynyk knocked out the Washington Wizards from the playoffs. He signed, at the time, a record restricted free agent offer with the Brooklyn Nets, which was matched by the Washington Wizards, and then that was then surpassed by DeAndre Ayton with the Indiana Pacers.
My guy.
Yeah, interesting career. Really good when he's healthy. He was starting on a finals team.
He has played 23 games since leaving the Warriors. So,
man,
all the hand-wringing that season about the Warriors losing Porter and losing Gary Payton and oh my God, all the guys that got us there. Like, obviously Gary Payton has circled back and has had his own health problems, but you're completely right to let both of them walk, particularly Porter, because that was the whole fucking scenario. It just needs to be said, though, one of the most underrated 3-point shooters of the last sort of 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, and that
he in Washington, he literally was. I remember him in Washington very clearly being like, "Oh, you literally just can't leave this guy open."
Yeah.
And a quick glance at the numbers from 16-17 through to his last season in Washington, 18-19, 43, 44 and 40 from behind the arc on reasonable volume.
Remember those John Wall pick and rolls with Marcin Gortat, and he would be running away. He would be using the screen, and then John Wall's really good at flinging the ball to the opposite corner, and Otto Porter or Trevor Ariza right there. Also, that team had jerseys number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it was someone else was in there that just blew it up.
Crazy that like John Wall, Bradley Beal, Marcin Gortat, Otto Porter, and whoever the fuck this
Trevor Ariza
never won 50 games.
Yeah, 49, 48.
Don't forget that they never won 50 games.
Nene coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Ramon Sessions coming off the bench.
My guy.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's off the bench?
My God, get him in there.
Pretty cool, prime John Wall. It could lead you to barrack for them.
Yeah, but also, like, ultimately, like, pretty cool, but ultimately, like, he's one of those guys that if he was drafted 5 years earlier, like, he might be in the Hall of Fame. And if his health issues didn't hold him back in the second half of his career. But by the time he started to have his health problems, he was already kind of diminished slightly in terms of his effectiveness.
That's not like Chris Paul, where it's like Chris Paul was extremely athletic as a young guy, but it's like he's had other things to lay back on. John Wall wasn't a good shooter. He wasn't a particularly good inside scorer either. He just had the ball here because he was an awesome passer. But yeah, one of those guys that actually I think you look back and it will be more of a streets never forget this guy kind of guy than like an actual like, oh my God, if he was playing in the West, like he might be a 2-time All-Star. Yeah. He the last time I saw him shooting a basketball was on Instagram. Like the last time I saw him like on social media, it was on Instagram on an NBL post where he was talking about potentially suiting up for the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Because isn't he the owner of the...
A part owner, yeah. Another part owner who you might know is Zach Randolph.
Zach Randolph.
He's been to Melbourne and watched Southeast Melbourne Phoenix games.
Wow, what a claim to fame.
Yep. I've been in the same building as Zach Randolph twice, actually. I've been to the FedEx Forum. All right, let's move on to the big topic. Talk shop. The future of the Houston Rockets. So, Houston Rockets today are 4 games out of the play-in, and Alperen Şengün, their best player, landed awkwardly during a contest on Domantas Sabonis' shot and sprained his ankle very badly. He was wheelchaired off, and I was really worried it was going to be something way worse.
Well, he was in quite a lot of distress.
Yeah, but it was just a very, very bad sprain. Shams Charania says that the wording's weird, he's considered out for the season.
Well, you're very lucky to have me on this episode, because as someone who's he's done a grade 3 sprain, which is the worst sprain you can do. I've recently done, among other things, 2 grade 2 sprains in my knee.
So you're 4.
Well, yeah, kind of more severe injury than Alperen Sengun anyway. But in consultation with my physio, who also is in a previous life was the physio for the Melbourne Storm through the golden era of Storm rugby,
The celery cat.
calm the Stormers. Was telling me a lot about, you know, obviously the injury and obviously a knee is different to an ankle, but more in terms of the grading of the sprains. And the grade 2's, like, he was saying, if you're looking at someone like a professional athlete coming back from multiple grade 2 knee sprains, I'd also done a little meniscus tear. He was basically saying, what you've done to your knee, professional athlete with like 5 days a week attention and like, you know, regimented training routine, we'll be looking at probably a 5 or 6 week return to playing. That's with everyday attention. Obviously, Sengun is going to have the everyday attention, but a grade 3 sprain is the furthest you can go on those ligaments without something tearing. So it's very nearly. So you've got to be looking at 5 weeks at the absolute minimum. Which is going to rule the Rockets out of. Yeah, they're already out of the playing contention, really, because, you know, you said before they got 4 games to make up with 15 games to play or something, so it's not happening. He'll be done for the season, but it won't stop him into the off season.
Yeah, no, that's literally excellent news, because the Rockets aren't going anywhere. They can hopefully, I think their pick is top 6 protected this year. They can make their odds a little bit better. There was a small, tiny little machination in the 65 game rule. Did you see this? So obviously to be eligible for NBA awards you have to play 65 games, but there is a loophole where if you get what is considered a season-ending injury, and the wording here is weird because he says, quote, considered out for the season. If you get a season-ending injury, how many games has he played? 63, and it's like over 60 or over 55. But that 55 number is over 90% of your team's games, and you've played at least 15 minutes in each of those games, you're still eligible for NBA awards.
Yeah, so, which means you're still eligible for the Supermax.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And there could be a little bit of team control in the fact that he's considered out for the season as opposed to like definite ruled out for the season.
I don't think there is, though.
You don't think there's any team control there?
There's a month left in the season. It would be like...
Not that they're going to rush him back, but right now, the wording in the CBAs has to be ruled.
Yeah, I just don't think they would have even the ability to sit him out for tanking or for like future contract purposes. Like he just won't be ready for... You know, I'm armchair experting this medical diagnosis, but...
Yeah, it's fair enough. Hey, what can we do, huh?
So we've made a living off of prognosticating on this podcast. Why stop now?
He's not going to make an All-NBA team, but he might make the most improved.
Yeah,
and then he's eligible for Supermax. So that's nice. It's nice that he's not completely ruled out for that. But the Houston Rockets are ruled out. Their season's over. I'll go through some dot points and then you can tell us where we want to go from here. Stagnant season from Jalen Green. Fred VanVleet, very good, but might just be league average very good, and that's not a knock. That's just saying, you know, good player.
That's what they paid him to do.
Jabari Smith will actually have the opportunity to show more of what he can do because Ime Udoka is starting him at the 5 now. He's got a little bit of young Jaren Jackson Jr. in him, like whenever I watch him, both from the offensive side where he's a little bit hesitant to do things, but also on defense he's just not big enough. Like he's going to get musclier, and then all of a sudden you look at Triple J right now, he's able to play the 5. Jabari Smith can't, but he hasn't blown the roof off like he did in Summer League.
Yeah.
Ime Udoka has been a good coach. Their role players who they brought in have been good. Every single player is under contract for next season, apart from the very bottom of the bench. That doesn't matter. But every single player is under contract. They're going to get Steven Adams back, who they traded Victor Oladipo for at the trade deadline. This is their team moving forwards. I don't see them really making any trades. What does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, they've achieved the goals that they set out to achieve this year. I think regardless of the record. They're currently 30 and 35. So they've got 17 games left. So say they go 6 and 11. 36 wins... for this team, I mean, it'd be interesting to do our over-unders review and see what the over-under would say, but that feels about right for me, doesn't it? 36 wins, considering where they were last year, when they were 20 something, like low 20s.
Well, and they were a bad 20. Like it was like you weren't watching them with any hope whatsoever.
Yeah. They brought in Brooks, they brought in Van Vliet with the sole purpose of stabilizing and providing two things: a context for their young players to develop in, and a context for them to assess their young players in. And in the case of Şengün, the former applies, and in the case of Green, the latter applies, because with Green now you've got the first look at what does this guy look like when he's playing with actual competent NBA players. And they've had start of the season kind of like Tari Eason, they've had the Thompson twin going through, but with a Green, Brooks, Van Vliet, Şengün, 4 out of 5 of the players that are on the court, or 3 out of 4 of the teammates that are on the floor with Jalen Green at all times when their starting lineup is out there, are competent to really good NBA players.
Yeah.
Have you got the over-under number here?
31.5.
Yeah.
And we both hit the over.
Yeah, so like that's a successful season, I think, whichever way you chop it up. Şengün had a genuine all-star case. That has to be best case scenario for them at the start of the season.
Yeah. I think they would be quite disappointed. Yeah, if they win 2 more games, they're going to hit that over under. I think they would be quite disappointed that Jalen Green didn't put together an all-star case. But
he hasn't even put together a case.
Yeah.
Jalen Green is in real what number does it start with territory on all fronts,
and he's got better teammates to help him.
And he's a guy who, like, the problem with someone like Jalen Green is the number one reason why he was drafted is because he projected as a elite scorer.
Yeah.
That's it. If Jalen Green turns into if you told the Rockets when they picked him at number 2 in whatever that was 3 years ago, this guy is going to be a 25 point per game scorer on good efficiency, they probably would have been even a bit disappointed, because you were thinking, like, that's the minimum, that's the bare minimum, that this guy is going to be like a 1 or a 1B on a good playoff team in terms of shouldering the offensive load. The fact that he hasn't even turned into anything remotely resembling an efficient high-volume scorer. He's got the volume. He doesn't have anything else.
Yeah.
And the fact that his playmaking game hasn't come along. He's one of those guys who it's like, man, you could touch the top of the backboard and you tell me that you can't defend.
Yeah.
You know, he's
no major injuries and you can still move sideways.
Yeah, it's not an ability thing. It's an application thing. I think that his and maybe we can kind of delve into it now. His future with this team, especially considering the revelations that they offered him as part of a deal from Mikal Bridges at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was to get their picks back. Get the picks back, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Green. The fact that that's already been out there and the fact that he's extension eligible is really interesting, because there have been a few guys over the last sort of 3 or 4 years who've been in a similar situation where they have really high draft pedigree and theoretically figure into their team's plans, and then they get the big extension and it's so difficult to place them, because for every Jaylen Brown 3 years ago getting that extension, it was like 4 years, 105, and it could have gone up to like 115, and it was like, geez, that's a bit, you're like, that's a pretty eye-watering number. Obviously that's panned out. There's also a DeAndre Hunter where you're like, we'll just
keep him,
pay you 4 years and 100. And I think for them giving Jalen Green something like that, whilst there's potential that you lock him in on like a reasonable number, and in 2 years' time it looks like great value because the cap just keeps escalating. That's definitely potential there. I'd be very hesitant about locking him in on something that even approached 20 million per year, considering the fact that he just has not shown really any development from when he was a rookie in any way.
Yeah. Like he's projecting a little bit like Gerald Green with 10 fingers. Like is he just going to be that hyper athletic bench scorer? And like he has been like relegated to the bench, and it's like that's still not working. He's supposed to be quicker, faster. He's supposed to jump over people, but he's not. And as soon as that doesn't happen,
he was one of those dudes right away from, and this is possibly where coaching really comes into it. And pour one out for the Stephen Silas era in Houston and the players who had to play under Stephen Silas. Particularly when a coach like Udoka comes in and is like, okay, we're just gonna get the shit sorted out. We're gonna get all the loose ends. We're gonna tie them off, and you see how much better a basketball team is and the players are when the loose ends get tied off. But he came into the league after his season with J League Ignite looking like it's the same exact fucking physical profile and case as Ant Edwards.
Yeah.
This big two-guard, super athletic, can shoot it, loves getting downhill. This guy's going to do it. Loves a jump shot.
Yeah.
He loved the jump shot as a rookie, and he was never coached out of it, and he's never shaken it, and he's shooting 47% on twos. It's like, brother, you're 6'5", and you are, if not the most athletic, you're the second most athletic person on the court at any one time. Go to the rim. He is shaking and baking and putting a nice move on someone, and then it's pull up fadeaway. Like he's got a bit of pull about him in that way. Like you do the first part, but then he's just so keen to settle for a long two. And he's not very good at him. And that hasn't been coached out of him. Udoka hasn't been able to coach that out of him. His shot distribution is a large reason for why his efficiency is so bad.
I think Udoka's done better, and it is such a bummer that it might actually just come down to coaching. Sam Sterry, contributor for the Deep2.com, Houston Rockets fan, has written about Jalen Green, and he wrote about Jalen Green. He started writing for the Deep 2 right after Jalen Green went into a hot streak, and when he's in a hot streak, and when the shot falls, it's like, this is it. This is the guy. As soon as your shot's open, lanes are a little bit easier to get to. He will always have a highlight dunk as soon as he gets 35 points because you just have to sell out harder to his three-pointers. As soon as that happens, then coaches can be a little bit like, hey, see how like people are scared of your dunk and your three? Maybe pass it. Like it all opens up if he just does the good thing. If he just does a good job, but he just simply hasn't done a good job. And that's why I'm a little bit like, is this Houston Rockets season a success? Like they're gonna smash their over under, and maybe their over under of 30. Like maybe if the team was like, hey, we need to win more than 30 games. Maybe that's a process like the wrong process, because like what are you doing? And I guess they call it phase 2. Like phase 1 of the rebuild was drafting. Phase 2 is getting to mid tier and bringing in Dylan Brooks, someone we haven't talked about yet. And phase 3 is making the playoffs, right? And the playoffs are so hard to get in. It's like, who are they going to knock next season? Maybe Golden State's going to fall off. Maybe the Lakers are going to fall off. But then, like, what if Wemby just gets a point guard? Like, Wemby's been good in the second half of the season.
Yeah, but you can't look at it. They're certainly not looking at it like that, and we can't, as media commentariat, look at it like that either.
I will.
Well, maybe we can play good cop bad cop on this one. I think the upshot of this phase 2 situation is that Brooks is someone who is going to be, I think he's on a 4-year contract. Yeah. Brooks is tradable.
Yeah.
Brooks is tradable. If in 2 years you've outgrown him, he's tradable. He's someone who you'll be able to get a couple seconds or a late first for. Van Vliet, he's on a contract that's not really tradable. I don't see any team around the league trading it, but it's very short, and that was very intentional. It's a phase 2 contract, and they're just banking on the fact that 1 or 2 of their 4 high pedigree young players, we're talking Şengün, we're talking Green, we're talking Smith Jr., and we're talking Thompson Twin. 2 of those are going to turn into really good players.
Yeah.
Şengün is already on the path to being an all-star. And Smith, I don't see it. Personally, I haven't really seen it. I mean, you're kind of right, and there's a bit of young Triple J, and I think in my head that's more of an indictment than it is a compliment because Triple J hasn't put it together offensively. Like, the dude can shoot and he can't do anything else. Like, Triple J is like the ultimate, like, you love a 6'11" guy that shoots 46% from the field.
Yeah.
He's not even sniffing 50.
Yeah.
Defensively, Jabari Smith's really good. He's really long. He's really rangy. He can do a lot. I don't know that I feel confident in him being, like, even a good third player on a good team. Like, I don't know that he's shown enough to be considered that. Thompson?
Yeah.
Asar?
Yeah.
Or is it Amon?
Amen. He's shooting really, really badly. But if it gets better, like, it's sort of... People have compared him to Ben Simmons because he's definitely as explosive as a young Ben Simmons. But the mentality stuff is just worlds better than Ben Simmons. Yeah. And you know that he's taking the threes. Like, he's shooting 14%. But you have to shoot a certain amount before you can get to the 4%. Right?
Hey, we were talking about him before. John Wall famously shot 7% in his sophomore season. He went on to become a 31% career 3-point shooter. So it's not out of reach.
So maybe phase 2 is just all about, like, inching us closer towards, like, the end goal of Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün. Because I think the season is positive because Şengün's taken a step towards All-NBA, let alone All-Star.
Yeah.
Amen looks good. He's a rookie. Let's see him next year. All the old people they paid: Fred VanVleet, Brooks, Jeff Green, not Ham Hock, Landale. That's whatever. But they brought in Steven Adams. All the old guys they got did their job. Like, all the old dudes did their job. It's just the young dudes didn't elevate them to the level that a playoff level. But that's fine.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing that they have been trying to do, and they've done this, like, a team that's done this really is the Magic as well. The Bulls have tried to do it, and it's failed spectacularly from them. But I don't always hate it. In fact, I actually think it's quite a smart way to go. This idea of, like, building from the middle. You don't actually need to necessarily, like, go on this bottom out or hunt the stars. And I know the Rockets are coming off of a period where they've been very bad. But in terms of the way that their team is, they're actually actively building their team. They're like, let's get competent first, and then we'll go from there. And the Brooks contract, like I said, is tradable. The VanVleet contract will be tradable when it's an expiring, which is in
a year or 2
the
years,
the end of next season. Like, he's got a team option, so he's potentially an expiring next year. Otherwise, you play him out, and then he's an expiring the year after. Super valuable if you want to go big game hunting, because this guy's getting paid like $35 million, $40 million. You get okay, because it's a lot easier to go from 36 to 47 than it is to go from 20 to 47. And when you're a 36, 38, 40 win team, like, you don't need to hit the home run. You just need to, okay, Jalen Green's not a long-term part of our plan. If we put Jalen Green, some other salary, and a pick or two together, what could we get? And that actually potentially around the league might fetch you something that picks you up a little bit. So I think this season kind of serves as, like, proof of concept, because I don't think, although I did pick Udoka for Coach of the Year preseason, we'll revisit that in a few weeks, I don't think there was serious expectation that they would be a 500 team. I think that was their, like, best case scenario.
And what they're saying,
we'd love to sniff around 500 for sure. They're just kind of a notch below that right now, but it's proof of concept that they can get to be okay, all good.
I just think it's very interesting because it was sort of dictated by the fact that they don't own their pick, and, like, building from the middle's fine. And look, they drafted Şengün 14th. It's like, wow, they've got their best player 14th. That's great, and that's what would happen to a team who's building from the middle. But, like, they drafted Amen Thompson, who now might be their second best prospect. They drafted him 4th, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to build from the middle when you've just gone through a period of drafting 2nd, 4th, 14th, and Cam Whitmore. We haven't even mentioned him. Cam Whitmore looks really good. Cam Whitmore has a case to be starting over Jalen Green because he just puts the ball in the basket, and they're the exact same player.
Often with two hands. I guess in terms of building from the middle, in my mind, when I talk about that, I'm talking about, like, the active strategy now that those young players which were collected, like the Rockets weren't like trying to be bad, they just actually really fucked it, traded away their best player and kind of had no choice. Whereas like someone like the Process Sixers or the Thunder were like, oh, okay, we're gonna really fucking lean into this, like we're gonna strip. The Rockets were actually just like almost incidentally bad, hired a really bad coach, like that was kind of the thing. And now that they're in a position where they're like actually seriously thinking about how we want to construct a team, they're not going to the extreme at either end that you see a lot of teams go. Like a lot of teams would be like, okay, we're gonna ride with the young guys until a couple of them develop into stars, or it's like we're gonna try and parlay a trade or a free agent star like immediately. They're building through the middle in terms of literally getting Fred VanVleet, the most middle point guard you can possibly get. Yeah, and
a middle wing, or just
because
average backups.
You get to that level where you're like, okay, like it's feasible that we could make a run at the 6th seed. It's likely that we'll just be in the play-in, and when you're in the play-in, like we're saying in the West, like it's not real big of a jump. It's a 4-game jump in the win column to get from the play-in to the playoffs, and you don't need something flashy. Like every team, the Rockets specifically, I guess, will have a lever to pull or something in their arsenal that they can leverage to get to that level, having proven to themselves that they're kind of at the level below now.
I guess I'm also just sort of thinking it because they're only doing this because they have to. Like it could be their full process that they want to do, but it's also like they don't own their future, they don't own their picks, so it's like there's a reason why they're doing this. But it's like it might be working. It might be working.
Well, it's also time, right? You got Şengün, who you kind of got lucky on at 14, and then you had 3 blue chip prospects, at least in terms of their draft pedigree. You can't really get much more than that from a fallow period. Like that's about as much as you could possibly expect to have.
Yeah, and like we're criticizing the Hornets for like going through all these drafts and the Pistons for going through all these drafts and just coming out with nothing really. Like these teams are just so empty. And for like the Rockets missed on Josh Christopher, right? But you know, Jalen Green might not be an All NBA player, but he's Cheryl Green with 10 fingers. Like he's still a basketball player and he can still start for you. Maybe he's Eric Gordon. Maybe that's his ceiling.
He's got to get those shooting numbers up before you can talk about him and Eric Gordon in the same breath.
But you know what I mean? They just have real NBA players, and it's like Cam Whitmore looks good. Like they left the draft with players, whereas other teams like Kai Jones, James Bouknight, like there is no proof that you have drafted 2.
Well, I mean, you want to throw it out further. Like you drafted a guy and gave him a max extension, and he can't stay on the court. Because he keeps on doing the same injury over and over again. Yeah,
well, as also you drafted a guy and he can't stay on the court for off-court reasons.
Yeah.
And you drafted, like, what's Mark Williams going to be, you know?
Well, fucking, as someone who traded for Mark Williams mid-season in fantasy and has had him on my injured reserve for the last 4.5 months.
Yeah, what's he doing? Very tall.
Yeah, very tall. He's been out since December with this back injury. It'd be very Hornets if your promising 7-foot center ends up with a debilitating back injury, because it hasn't been one of those ones where they were like, Mark Williams has a back injury, he's going to be out for 4 months. It's like, Mark Williams has a back injury, we might be back in a month, and it just keeps getting pushed out. He was looking really, really good late last year and the start of this year, and I'm trying to remember for the life of me. There was a center in his draft who
Jalen Duren?
No, he's taken above. I'm gonna look it up. Mark Williams was taken before him, and everyone was like losing their mind. I think I might have been losing my mind as well. No, I can't remember. Maybe I'm misremembering, and it was. Okay, no, it was Duren, because Duren was drafted by the Hornets and then traded to Detroit.
Yeah.
Good. Johnny Davis at number 10. How's that going?
Pretty bad draft.
Yeah, no, pretty good draft actually. I mean,
Keegan Murray at 4.
Yeah,
Jaden Ivey.
It's like not a bad draft.
It's
J-Dub, Jalen Duren.
Yeah. AJ Griffin, Tari Eason. Oh, Tari Eason's another Houston guy who's out for the year.
Yeah.
it was another one of those injuries where he was like day to day, and then it's like, oh, he's actually never coming back, and turns out he's played 10 games or 20 games. He's good. Like
he's good. He's good.
But they've got good guys. They've done a good job of drafting. And
Jalen Green notwithstanding.
Yeah,
and you know what? You couldn't have been expected to.
Who was third in that draft? It was always 1 and 2. It was Cade and... Oh, so I remember I tweeted... someone was like, man, looking forward to more Cade versus Jalen Green battles in the future after their first matchup. And I'm like, yeah, it's the Andrew Wiggins versus Jabari Parker of our generation. And then this one Detroit fan, and then one Houston Rockets fan commented and like, fucking screenshotted and bookmarked, man, I can't wait to come back to this.
Far out. There's some rare units in the world. God, Cade loves shooting.
He's been playing
40%.
Yeah,
I've never seen someone look so good at playing basketball and somehow still be shooting 40%.
Do you remember in the when they were practicing for the World Cup, they had Cade come in and be Proto Luka?
No.
The Team USA brought Cade in as the Team B and said, every shot's going to run through you, and we're going to practice guarding Luka in the World Cup.
I'm pro Cade, but God, that's a downgrade. The top picks in that draft were Cade, Jalen Green, Mobley, Barnes, Jalen Suggs.
Yeah. Josh Giddey.
Everyone's favourite proto-pedophile. Jonathan Camino, Franz Wagner, Off Night, and then Night Off, Zaire Williams.
Proto-Indo-pedophile. Alright, let's just talk about the final piece of news before we wrap up. Rudy Gobert has been fined the largest possible sum, $100,000 for a gambling gesture. That's the little money fingers. Deal or no deal, I call it. Towards the referees after he was foul. He was given his 6th foul in a game, who I haven't written down here. And as he walked off, rubbed his fingers together and then went to the media afterwards and like, they just don't want us to win. Fucking said some stupid Rudy Gobert stuff. Adam Silver, for what it's worth, came out the next day and said, we have never influenced any referee decisions with money. You're like, holy fuck, thanks, man. Like, who asked you?
Not.
Who asked you that question? Because they need an award for their line of questioning.
Rudy Gobert might be the best in the NBA at misreading the room, because there's no the number one emotion that has been conjured in people when they stop and think about this Wolves run is not, oh man, we've got to stop the Wolves from getting to the playoffs. Like, the league doesn't want to get there. It's actually just bemusement. People are like, oh, okay, we'll see where this goes. If there was going to be a team that the NBA was going to be paying refs to influence the outcome of decisions for, it wouldn't be this year's Minnesota Timberwolves.
It's also, is it maybe the team in LA that wears purple and gold that has like been leading the league in foul calls at home for like the last 20 years or something? Like, let's maybe work on that one first.
The Manchester United of the NBA.
Yeah, is that what happened?
It's true what they said in the Bible, that the center of the universe is Minnesota.
Yeah, it's just a Rudy.
God really snapped on that one.
It's a Gobertism.
Yeah, and it's a bit annoying. It's a bit annoying.
Yeah, this just in Rudy Gobert annoying. And what do you think about the whole debate that we put on the Deep 2?
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah, the whole Rudy Gobert, does he deserve it? We know he's going to fuck up in a month in the playoffs.
Do we know that?
What's he going to do? Like, he's going to win a first-round playoff series against the Warriors, right? Tony Edwards is going to go off.
Sorry, I was going to pull you up.
I can't say anything.
Don't say the Warriors. Like, you think that the Warriors wouldn't beat the Wolves in a first-round playoff series. And, like, you wouldn't be talking yourself into it. You know, not even in your heart of hearts, you don't even have to go that deep to get there. You think that the Warriors with Steph Curry coming back would beat the Wolves in a first-round playoff series. You can't tell me that you don't.
In a Cinderella type
Maybe
run.
they lose in the first, maybe they lose in the second round, but you don't think that the Wolves without Cat would beat the Warriors in a first-round playoff series.
If it was tipping off tomorrow and everyone's healthy minus Cat, there's a bit of Kings Warriors in that, so maybe Warriors in 7.
I tell you what, I see right through you. I don't buy this.
What don't you buy? Which part?
You're in your head. You're thinking gentleman sweep.
No GS.
I'm fairly on the other side of the debate from Lucas and to a lesser extent Marco with regards to the particulars of the Utah Jazz playoff defense in the late Mitchell Gobert Jazz run. Because I just think by the time the Clippers series was happening and I can't remember who the team was, the Nuggets. By the time that was going on, the perimeter day of the Jazz was so diminished, so diminished. There was literally no one left, and the whole idea of it, you know, kind of fails when the apex ball handlers on the opposition are able to hunt the mismatches they want on the perimeter to just get to their spots every single time. There's nothing Gobert can really do about that. And yes, the Clippers put Terrence Mann on him, and yes, Terrence Mann made 10 threes, scored 70 points, whatever. Like everyone saw it, but that's not a Gobert thing. That's not a breakdown in process. It's not a breakdown in game. It's just Terrence Mann hit 7 threes and scored 31 points.
I don't know. Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle because I do think you can stretch him out.
You can stretch him out, but there's rule. Yeah. I mean, the NBA's changed a lot since then, and he's not Roy Hibbert.
Is he? Is he not?
I just think he's gonna win Defensive Player of the Year.
He will, yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah,
and the reason why he wins Defensive Player of the Year isn't because he camps out under the rim and gets blocks from the help side. It's because he actually is. Well, he's the best rim protector of the last 10 years, and he also, for a guy that's 7 foot tall, he actually does move reasonably well in space.
Yeah.
You can put your, you know, you make him defend your 5th starter and make your 5th starter be a wing and shoot a whole bunch of threes. But, you know, how many times
is your 5th starter going to hit 7 threes?
How many times is your 5th starter hitting 7 threes? Like, if Terrence Mann hits 7 threes, like, you're probably losing anyway. If the Clippers, if everything's going right for the team such to the point that Terrence Mann is going off, you're probably losing that game anyway. How many times during the regular season do we not even fucking talk about it when the Mavs or the Nets are like, let's put Dorian Finney-Smith on him, and Dorian Finney-Smith goes 1 for 5 and Gobert gets 3 blocks helping off the weak side because no one's defending DFS above the break.
Would you pick them to make the conference finals? So they have to be
that all being said, like, no, I actually don't. I don't really buy this team in the playoffs, but the reason why I don't buy it isn't because of Rudy Gobert's defense. Like, I reject the mythology of, like, it'll all unravel for Gobert in the playoffs. They're a terrible matchup for Denver. Denver would absolutely obliterate them. I think if they were to draw any of the teams probably
in the play-in right now,
if they were to draw any of the teams outside of Oklahoma in the top 6, I probably would be picking the other team.
Yeah, the play-in's going to be hard. Like Warriors, Lakers, but the Kings. Well, let me just consult my trusty. It's Pels and Suns.
Yeah, Pels and Kings right now.
Oh, wow.
The Kings have the tiebreaker over the Suns. They're both tied.
I don't trust the Mavs to make a lot of noise in the playoffs.
No, and like nor should you. Yeah. But I would say that the Clippers and the Suns and the Nuggets, I think, would beat the Timberwolves in a series. I don't know about the Pelicans. Pelicans are too mysterious.
I know, but Marco's going to tell you that Zion loves going against Rudy. Like, everyone loves going against Rudy.
Yeah, but I mean, Zion he's 3 inches shorter, but exactly the same body type as a guy that does well against Rudy, right? You have to be able to be either huge and be able to move, a la Jokic, or Zion, where your momentum can just carry you into the guy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, like, again, like, if you're Rudy Gobert and Zion Williamson scores 30 points in a playoff game, doesn't mean that you're a bad defender. I mean, Zion's really fucking good at interior scoring. I mean, these guys shoot 68% and he shoots 75% in the key.
Like, that's hard ones,
That's what this guy does. Like, you know, it's not all on one player.
It's going to be a good playoffs.
The West in particular is going to be literally a bloodbath.
A great time to be a basketball fan.
We've been saying that for a while, but it might be the truest that it's ever been.
Also, like, the fucking Hawks are still in the play-in, and Brooklyn keep losing. And the Hawks they said like 4 months ago, "Hey, we're going to tank." But then you look at the West, and it's like, fuck, the Lakers and the Lakers made the conference finals last year, and it's the same team, maybe better.
Yeah.
Warriors, they got that Cinderella in them. The fucking Suns. Yeah, you heard me talking to Boris Dirk. Mm-hmm. I like the Suns if you're healthy.
When the three of them play together, it's really fucking good.
Yeah,
it's really fucking good.
And like, I don't know how much Royce O'Neal helps, but like,
he helps. He's good.
Bol-Bol's been doing some good stuff. Drew Eubanks. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And KD, like, KD's been to the finals multiple times. He knows how to rest his body.
Been to the finals.
But KD, I know, has...
Bradley Beal's never won 50 games before.
But KD's been able to step up and play the 5 in the finals, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's just not getting looked at, because I'm sure he said to Frank Vogel, I don't want to try too hard right now. I got to wait.
Yeah, well, also, there's probably not many matchups in the West where he's going to need to play the 5, because you look at the guys that are in the fucking West. Like, maybe the Clippers, but... Nurk is a pretty good matchup for just about every other team playing with a big center.
Yeah. Great time to be a basketball fan.
Great time to be a basketball fan. And great time to have spent this time talking to you.
Yeah, fucking pretty good. What did we end on?
50 minutes.
Yeah, that's not 30.
No, it's definitely not 30. Definitely not 30. But it was a good 50.
It was a good 50.
A tied 50.
Yeah.
Tied 50.
Boff, I will speak to you next time.
This episode of The Deep 2 is presented by Gelateria Bico, the official gelato of The Deep 2. Gelateria Bico, handmade gelato in the heart of Brunswick.
The Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show is your fortnightly dose of the lighter side of basketball, hosted by me, Marco.
And me, Lucas. We take a more laid-back approach, talking about the NBA, the WNBA, FIBA basketball, culture, whatever tickles our fancy or grinds our gears.
The show is filled with great guests, classic gags, and a healthy dose of tangents in honour of the great man himself.
The Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show, fortnightly on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Loves just talking about the league, certain things like that.